Okay, Johnny, this one's got your number on it. Let's jam.
Hi, and welcome back to a MiniJam episode of CinemaJam. In this edition, we will break down a couple of interesting and recent movies that we were able to catch up in the theater. Today, we have an interesting double feature. We have the Stephen King's latest adaptation, The Life of Chuck, and Disney's new live-action take on the beloved classic Lilo and Stitch. Let's dive in. First up is The Life of Chuck. Now, if you hear Stephen King adaptation and Mike Flanagan, you're probably thinking of horror, right? Well, Stephen King obviously is a master of horror books and stories, especially is an excellent storyteller. And Flanagan has shown a real technical and storytelling prowess in telling horror stories in TV and movies. I especially love his Midnight Mass, The Fall of House of Usher, and I have heard very good things about his movies, Close, and Gerald's Game. A lot of these movies are actually in Netflix, or TV series. Midnight Mass and The Fall of House of Usher are actually Netflix. He is undeniably talented. But The Life of Chuck is not your typical Stephen King story, and especially not what you will normally associate with a Flanagan story. Honestly, I think it's going to be one of the most controversial movies of the year. I think a lot of people will like it, a lot of people will hate it, and not a lot of people will actually understand what is happening on the screen. And I will probably have to see it a couple of more times just to understand what is really happening, especially because the movie is not really played like a traditional movie from Hollywood. The movie is divided in 3 acts, but the acts go in reverse. They go backward in time. So we start the movie with Act 3, and then they show Act 2 and Act 1. It's a different type of movie. I mean, there is no other way to describe it, basically. The Act 3 is, well, I'm sorry, this is going to be a spoiler alert, but it's like apocalyptic movie, the end of the world movie, kind of maybe like a semi-parody. It's not really a horror movie, but there is a lot of suspense, and the acting of the actors in this act is actually pretty good. And the second act is more like a musical. There is a big dancing sequence. And the first act is a little bit of a melodrama, of a family drama. And it has supernatural elements throughout the movie, especially in the first and last act. Well, Act 3 and Act 1. So there is that Stephen King supernatural element there throughout the movie, but it can be a little bit disorienting, and it's part of what makes the story special, I guess. And a lot of the surprises actually come from this reverse chronological storytelling. I haven't read the original story, but I understand that this movie shares that unique narrative approach. So it comes directly from the short story from Stephen King. But what it really resonated with me was the humanistic side of the story. Despite the dark themes, the death, and the sorrow is actually quite surprisingly wholesome and hopeful. So the characters find connection and joy in unexpected places, and I guess that's the core message of what the movie wants to convey. That even in the darkest time, people can find ways to connect and find joy, and it's especially evident in Act 3 and Act 1. So, did I love the movie? To be honest, I'm still chewing a little bit on that. The story certainly kept me captivated. The narrative vehicle of going backward in time was actually interesting. I actually felt that they lost a little bit of momentum, especially that momentum established in the beginning in Act 3. The Act 2 and Act 1 are much more slower, I guess, compared to Act 3. Still, the performances are superb, so they actually all is in the acting, basically. And the actually 4 actors that are playing Chuck at different stages of his life: Tom Hiddleston, Jacob Tremblay and Benjamin Pajak and Cody Flanagan, and they all do an incredible job of portraying the same character. Chiwetel Ejiofor and Kenan Gillian and Carl Lombly are fantastic in Act 3. I really enjoy the time that we spend with them in Act 3. And Lombly makes another appearance, a key appearance in Act 1, and I really love his performance. I think this is a great actor that has been kind of forgotten by Hollywood, and I hope to see him more. His performance in Captain America Brave New World was great, and I really like the way he acts in these characters. I really like the music. There is a delightful music and dance number of Tom Hiddleston in Act 2 and Benjamin Pajak in Act 1. It was pretty nice. They are actually more integral to the plot than you might initially think. Using our CinemaJam rating system, did I like it? Yes, I think I like it enough that I don't felt it was a waste of time. Will I recommend it? I will, but with a big caveat. Be prepared for a significant tonal shift once Act 2 kicks in. It is definitely a movie I will watch again, so that's also a yes. Especially because there are so many callbacks to different things that happen in Act 3 that are connected to what happens in Act 2 and Act 1. I will probably watch it with my wife because I like the message of, living your life at the fullest, even if you know you're eventually going to die. Okay, let's talk about the second movie that we're going to be talking about today. That is Lilo and Stitch. And it's a very familiar Ohana. And it's very different, obviously, of The Life of Chuck. Lilo and Stitch is obviously a remake of the 2002 animated classic from Disney Studios. And let's be real, with a movie like this, you probably already know if you're going to like it. The original animated classic had very distinctive characters, and you will either find Lilo adorable or annoying, and Stitch either bothersome or cute. So your pre-existing feelings about the original will largely dictate if you will enjoy this live action version, because it's the same movie. I mean, there are only minor changes in the basically with one character and another character that doesn't show up. They combine two characters together to make the story actually feel a little bit better. I actually enjoy the changes. They were not radical enough to make it feel like a different movie. They didn't make the movie a darker version of Lilo and Stitch or change the themes of family and that you can find your own family, whatever. Those are, the original themes in the movie. It was as funny as the original one, basically the same jokes all over the place and few new jokes. And I think the changes actually make sense for the movie. They make sense for the story and will actually work in the animated ones. I feel that Lilo and Stitch was well shot, was actually very well cast. It was well written, well directed. So I'm gonna give it a positive review. And if you like it, if you like the original one, there is actually no reason why not to like this one. And all the Disney live action remakes, I have enjoyed a few. Most of them actually don't think they actually fit on what they're trying to do. But I think this one stands out as at the top of the remakes. And it does actually retain the comedic and with what made the original special. So I really appreciate that. So following our rating system in CinemaJam, yes, I will watch it again. I didn't I didn't I didn't felt like I was wasting time, so I actually like it, and I will recommend it. Yeah. Although if I'm going to be honest, in the future I will probably still watch the original animated movie 2 out of 3 times, I guess, because I really like the animation of the first one. I think it's pretty cute and pretty decent. And that's our show for today. Please give your comments on what are your thoughts on Life of Chuck or the new Lilo and Stitch remake. You can leave your comments in our social media page. You can search for us as Cinema Jam Pod. where we are in YouTube, we are in Facebook, in Instagram. And you can also send us an email, cinemajampodcast@gmail.com. Hey, keep watching movies until next time.